The first sign was a Zillow alert. I almost missed it. I had the app notifications set for my neighborhood, a habit from when I was saving for the house, tracking comps obsessively from a studio apartment in Hapeville with a radiator that clicked all night and a window that didn't fully close. Old habit. I kept the alerts running even after I bought the Sycamore Lane house because I liked knowing what the market was doing around me. Felt like watching over something. The alert came in at 7:52 on a Wednesday morning while I was getting ready for my shift at the distribution center. I almost swiped it away. I almost put my phone face down on the bathroom counter and kept brushing my teeth and went to work. Instead I tapped it. The listing photo loaded slowly on my screen. A wide-angle shot of a Craftsman front porch, gray siding, the Japanese maple in the front yard that I had planted myself 3 autumns ago with a root ball so heavy I'd pulled something in my lower back and spent a week on ibuprofen. My porch. My maple. My house, listed at $797,000, described as a move-in ready gem in an established neighborhood with original hardwood floors and a detached workspace. The listing agent was someone named Robert Crane, Prestige Realty Group. I had never spoken to Robert Crane in my life. I sat down on the edge of my bathtub. The tile was cold through my socks. I read the listing 3 times to make sure I was reading what I thought I was reading. Then I called my mother. Before I tell you what happened when she answered, have you ever discovered that someone was making a major decision about your life and hadn't thought to mention it to you? Tell me in the comments. I read every one. My mother answered on the second ring, which meant she was awake and alert and had been expecting something, though maybe not this particular call at this particular moment. Lorraine, she said. Warm. Normal. The voice of a woman who had not just listed her daughter's house on Zillow. Mom, I said. There's a Zillow listing for my house. Pause. Brief. Calibrating. Your father and I have been meaning to talk to you about that, she said. That sentence. Meaning to talk to you. As if it were a minor administrative item. As if a $797,000 listing for a property I owned was the kind of thing you got around to mentioning when the timing felt right. When? I said. The listing went live. There are photos. There's a price. Robert came by last Tuesday, she said. We walked through with him. He thinks the market is very strong right now and that it makes sense to move quickly. Last Tuesday. 6 days ago. I had been at the distribution center last Tuesday, working a 10-hour shift sorting outbound freight in a warehouse that smelled like cardboard and industrial lubricant. I had called my mother that evening to tell her my supervisor had mentioned me for a lead position. She had said that was wonderful. She had not mentioned Robert Crane. Mom, I said very carefully. This is my house. You cannot list my house. We're trying to help you, she said. That neighborhood is changing and the price is right. You could pay off everything and still have money left. Your father thinks. Put Dad on. My father's voice came on immediately, which confirmed what I already suspected. He had been there the whole time 3 feet away listening. Lorraine, he said. This is a practical decision. You're working yourself to the bone at that warehouse. If you sell now you have options. You could move closer to us. We found a very nice apartment complex in Morrow. 2 bedrooms, reasonable rent. Dad. I stopped him. Did you sign anything? Silence. Dad. Did you sign a listing agreement with Robert Crane? Your mother signed the preliminary paperwork, he said. As your parent, Anne. I hung up. I sat on the edge of the bathtub for another 40 seconds. The tile was still cold. The Zillow listing was still open on my phone. My Japanese maple was still in the listing photo, branches bare in the November shot, looking like something caught mid-breath. I called my neighbor first. Then I called the title company. My neighbor Fern Okafor had lived in the house directly across Sycamore Lane for 11 years. She was 63, retired from the Postal Service, and maintained an awareness of neighborhood activity that I had always found both mildly amusing and quietly reassuring. She noticed things. She remembered what she noticed. She answered before I'd finished formulating what I was going to say. I was wondering when you'd call, she said. You saw them. Tuesday morning. A man in a blue Prestige Realty jacket. Your parents let him in. They were there about 2 hours. He came back Thursday with a photographer. Pause. I took photos on my phone. Of the photographer's car in your driveway. And the sign going up Friday afternoon. I closed my eyes. Fern. I didn't know if you knew, she said. I almost called you Friday, but I didn't want to. I wasn't sure what was happening. I didn't know, I said. I'll send you everything, she said immediately. Time-stamped. Fern's photos arrived in 4 minutes. The Prestige Realty jacket. The photographer's silver Honda in my driveway. The for sale sign being driven into my front lawn by a man in work gloves. My parents standing on the porch watching, my mother's hand raised slightly as if directing traffic. I forwarded everything to my own email. Then I sat at my kitchen table. I had called in late to work by this point, something I had done exactly twice in 4 years. And I pulled up the Fulton County Property Records website. My name. Sole owner. Lorraine Adiz Whitmore. Purchased March 2021. No liens. No co-owners. No encumbrances. Then I searched Prestige Realty Group and found a general number and called it. The woman who answered transferred me to a transaction coordinator named Beverly. And Beverly pulled up the Sycamore Lane file while I was on hold listening to instrumental music that seemed designed to make every situation feel manageable. Ms. Whitmore, Beverly said when she came back. I'm looking at the listing agreement. The signature on file is, a brief pause, Patricia Whitmore. My mother's name. Beverly, I said. I am Lorraine Whitmore. I am the sole owner of that property per Fulton County records. My mother is not on the deed. She has no authority to sign a listing agreement for that property. A longer pause this time. I'm going to need to escalate this, Beverly said carefully. Can I put you on a brief hold? Yes, I said. I'll wait. I want to tell you what those 14 minutes on hold actually felt like, because the story sounds clean from the outside and it was not clean from the inside. I grew up in that house. Not the Sycamore Lane house, I bought that myself, I am clear on that. But the family, the architecture of it, the way my parents had always been the ones who handled things while I learned to handle things from them. My father had taught me to read a lease. My mother had explained compound interest to me at a kitchen table when I was 14 using a notebook and a calculator. They were not careless people. They were not stupid people. They were people who had watched me struggle for years. The studio in Hapeville, the radiator, the 2 jobs I worked simultaneously for 3 years to build the down payment. And had decided somewhere in the process that my success was a family asset rather than an individual achievement. The house I had bought was, in their accounting, a house the family had produced. My discipline was family discipline. My sacrifice was family sacrifice. Therefore the house was available for family decisions. I understood the logic. I had grown up inside it. What I understood now, sitting at my kitchen table waiting for Beverly to come back, was that the logic had a destination I could not go to. If I let the architecture of that thinking stand, if I signed off on it even passively, even just this once, then nothing I built would ever fully be mine. It would always be a family asset waiting to be reallocated when the need arose. The need always arose. That was the one thing I knew for certain. Beverly came back at the 14-minute mark. Ms. Whitmore, she said, I've spoken with our broker and our legal team. The listing agreement signed by Patricia Whitmore is not valid. We cannot list or sell a property without the verified authorization of the title holder. We're removing the listing from MLS effective today and will be reaching out to the signing party to explain that the agreement is void. I let out a breath I had been holding since 7:52 a.m. Thank you, Beverly, I said. I'm sorry this happened, she said, and she sounded like she meant it. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I sat very still at my kitchen table and watched the November light come through the window above my sink, thin and pale and completely indifferent to everything that had just happened. The listing came down by noon. I know because I refreshed the Zillow page 11 times between Beverly's call and 12 o'clock, and at 11:47 it returned a no results screen for that address. Gone. Like it had never been there. Except Fern's photos were still in my email. Time-stamped. The jacket, the Honda, the sign, my parents on the porch. My manager at the distribution center, a woman named Augustina Ferreira who had been there 14 years and had seen most things, called me at 12:30 to ask if I was coming in for the afternoon portion of my shift. I told her what had happened in about 4 sentences. She was quiet for a moment. Is the house still yours? Yes, I said. Then come in at 2, she said. Movement helps. I came in at 2. I moved freight for 6 hours. My hands knew what to do and my mind had somewhere to put itself, which was the only thing I needed. After my shift, I sat in my car in the parking lot for 22 minutes before I drove home. I was trying to decide what I wanted from my parents. What shape I wanted the next conversation to take, what I was and wasn't willing to say. There was a version of this where I called them immediately, sharp and specific, and enumerated every wrong thing that had happened from the Tuesday walkthrough to the Friday sign to the voided agreement. I had the timeline. I had Fern's photos. I had Beverly's confirmation. There was another version where I drove to their house in Morrow and sat at their kitchen table and asked them plainly why. Not legally. Not procedurally. Just why. What they thought was going to happen. What they believed about me and about what I had built and about what it meant that I had built it. I sat in the parking lot until I knew which version I wanted. I drove to Morrow. My parents' house smelled the same way it had always smelled. My mother's cooking, something with onions and tomatoes, and the particular mustiness of the heating system in a house that had been lived in for 30 years. My father was in his chair. My mother came out of the kitchen when she heard my key in the lock, wiping her hands on a dish towel, and her face did three things in quick succession. Relief, apprehension, something I can only describe as the look of someone who has been waiting for a consequence. I sat down at the kitchen table. Not the living room. The kitchen where my mother had taught me compound interest at 14. The listing is down, I said. The agreement is voided. The title company confirmed I am the sole owner and that Mom's signature had no legal standing. My father said nothing. My mother sat down across from me. We were trying to help you, she said. Quieter than on the phone. The warmth was gone. What was left sounded more like a genuine belief. Confused and stubborn and real. I know you believe that, I said. That's the part I've been thinking about all day. I looked at my mother's hands on the table. She still had the dish towel. I saved for that house for 7 years, I said. 3 of those years I worked 2 jobs. I skipped things. Vacations, a car upgrade, medical appointments I put off because the copay was $40 and that was $40 toward the down payment. I did all of that alone. And I'm proud of that. I am genuinely proud of what it cost me to get there. My father shifted in his chair. He had come to the kitchen doorway now, one hand on the frame. When you walked Robert Crane through my house without telling me, I said, you weren't helping me. You were deciding for me. There's a difference. And the difference matters to me more than I can explain in a way that will probably make sense to you tonight. My mother's eyes had gone wet. She didn't wipe them. We just wanted you to have. I have something, I said. I already have something. That's the part one need you to see. The kitchen was quiet except for whatever was on the stove, still simmering, the small sound of something being kept warm. My father said from the doorway, we didn't think of it that way. I know, I said. That's what I came to tell you. I didn't give them a list of conditions. I didn't deliver an ultimatum or a numbered set of requirements for future contact. I am not, by nature, a person who functions well in that register. Too formal, too clean for something this complicated. What I said before I left was this. I need you to understand that what I build is mine. Not because I don't love you. Because I do, and I need you to love me back in a way that includes that. My father nodded. Once small. My mother said, we'll try. It was not the answer I wanted. It was not a guarantee or a transformation or a clean resolution. It was 2 people in their 60s being asked to revise something they had believed for decades, and acknowledging, quietly, that the revision was required. I drove home in the dark. The Japanese maple in my front yard was a black shape against the porch light. I sat in the car and looked at it for a moment. Bare branches, the shape I had trained it into over 3 autumns, the thing I had carried as a root ball and planted while my lower back protested. It was still there. Still mine. Still growing in the direction I had pointed it. Here is what I know now that I didn't know the morning the Zillow alert came in. 1. The system works sometimes. Not always, I know that. But Beverly from Prestige Realty and the Fulton County Property Records and the title company's standard due diligence process all did exactly what they were supposed to do. A deed is a deed. A signature that has no legal standing is void. You don't always have to fight if the documentation is clean. Keep your documentation clean. The people who love you can still wrong you. Those 2 facts live together and they don't resolve each other. My parents love me. My parents listed my house without telling me and believed they were helping. Both of those things are true simultaneously and I have to hold both of them without letting one cancel the other, because if I let the love cancel the wrong then I am not safe. And if I let the wrong cancel the love then I am alone in a way I don't want to be. 3. What you build at great personal cost is worth protecting at great personal cost. The 7 years. The 2 jobs. The $40 co-pays deferred. The root ball in the lower back. All of it was the price of a thing that belongs to me, and belonging means something and I am allowed to defend it. It is a Saturday morning now, 3 weeks after the listing came down. I am at my kitchen table with coffee and the window light coming in thin and pale the way it does in December, and the Japanese maple is outside doing what maples do in winter, which is wait. Fern waved at me from her porch yesterday when I got home from work. So, just a wave. The kind that means I saw. I didn't forget. You're all right. I waved back. My parents and I have spoken twice since Moro. Short calls. Careful. My mother asked about my lead position at work. I got it. I start the new role in January for $1,200 more a year and a shift I chose. And she said she was proud of me and I believe she was, and I said thank you and I meant it, and we stayed on the call for 12 more minutes talking about nothing important, which felt like something important. Terrence. That was Derek in the last story. I have to keep them separate in my head. I mean my cousin Adila, who knows the whole story because Fern told her neighbor who told Adila's mother. The way information moves in families, called me and said simply, "You good?" "Yeah," I said. "I'm good. The house still yours." "The house is still mine." She laughed. Short and warm. "I have nowhere to be this morning. The shift doesn't start until 2. The maple is outside waiting for spring and the coffee is hot and the deed with my name on it is in a fireproof box in my bedroom closet where it has always been, where it will stay." Have you ever had someone make a decision about your life and call it help? Tell me in the comments. I'm Lorraine. I kept the house. I kept the door unlocked too.